Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing?
Hey, sister, I am doing well. Had my first situation where my computer, I was muting. I was on a call and I had muted and it went off of mute. And so I was kind of embarrassed. But
Welcome to 2020, sister.
yeah, well, I try to, I pride myself on not being that person. And I literally pressed the mute button twice and ended up being that person. So, yeah, but all good. Life goes
Awesome,
on.
awesome. Well, everybody who's out there watching, I don't know if you're out there watching yet, but if you are, if you would drop down in the comments, let us know that you're here. It's time for Hey Sister. So what we ask you to do in typical Hey Sister fashion, we ask you to like, follow, and share this broadcast on your social networks, share it with your friends, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Spread the message, spread the word about what we're doing here at Hey Sister. We also want you to join the conversation in the comments. That's where all the action is. That's where the magic happens, down in the comments. So we want you to be a part of Hey Sister's conversation tonight and join us in the comments. All right. Now you got to mute it if you're watching it, Mike. If you're watching it on another tab, you got to mute that tab. Now, come on now, brother. Hello. See,
I'm trying to send it to my people, so that's all. I got you.
Yeah, go ahead, send it to the people.
I'm done.
From Thibodeau, Louisiana.
Hey, Miss Mary.
Hey, how you doing? We're so happy to have you with us this evening. If you're out there, you're checking in, let us know where you're checking in from. We're so excited to have you, and we're going to have a very good conversation tonight. As we said, this is the first of the month. One of the things that first Sunday in the month, right? The first episode of Hey Sister for the month. One of the things we committed to is we do hot topics every week, but to really just have an evening of hot topics, things that we can really focus on, chew into, we said we wanted to do that. And that's what we want to do tonight. We have Jody out there watching. Hey, Jody, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Jody.
Happy birthday, Jay Diggity.
Yeah, and she said, hi, Mike. So see, Mike got some fans out there.
I know. Mike is a man.
So we wanted to, because hot topics, really everything, all politics is hot topics, especially over the last few weeks. We wanted to bring this very special guest back on with us because I think we're post-election now. Who knows? According to some people, we still recount now.
We're post-election in every state except for Georgia.
That's a good way to say it. We're post-election in every state except for Georgia.
I don't know. That Michigan woman act like she was about to bring the heat and bring the pain. So maybe in Michigan, she feels like there's still a chance.
Well, I'm from Detroit, so it's over in Michigan.
Hey, I like that.
Well, we are super excited again to have Mr. Mike McQuerry with us. If you didn't see him on the last time he was here, he brought he dropped all the pearls, all the gems, all the knowledge about what's going on Capitol Hill. And we're so excited to have him again with us tonight. And as Mike said, there is definitely an election that is still going on in the state of Georgia. So that's what we're going to pick up and start off with tonight.
Very crucial, very crucial.
So Mike, tell us about, you were just watching the debate as it was wrapping up. Tell us about what you know about the Georgia Senate race and why it matters so much.
Well, first of all, it matters so much because it's going to define President-elect Joe Biden's presidency. It's going to determine who controls the Senate. If we get both of those seats, the Democrats pick up both of those seats, then it's basically a 50-50 tie. And Kamala Harris, who is a Democrat, who is the vice president, will break the tie. And so that's why these seats are important. And they're also important because, if Mitch McConnell continues to be majority leader of the Senate, a lot of stuff that the Democrats on the House side and Joe Biden want to do are not going to get done. Because they're the stopgap right there, the Senate. And Mitch McConnell has, since Obama's days of being president, has vowed to not do anything significant for the Democrats or Democrat priorities. So, it's very important. I just watched the debate tonight in Georgia. You actually had two, but you had three people show up. For the first one, you had Joe Ossoff. He was going against David Perdue, and David Perdue did not even show up for the debate. So the man was talking to a blank, to an empty podium. And your second one, you had Reverend Ralph Warnock and Kelly Loeffler going against each other, and it was very contentious. It was very, it was a lot of shenanigans coming from Kelly Loeffler on what Ralph Warnock has done in his record. But Ralph Warnock, for someone that we did not hear about or know about 9 months ago, no one knew this man's name, who he was. He was at that time still the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, which everyone knows that. To see how far it's come, and this man actually knows what he's talking about. So Georgia, I have family in Georgia. They probably looking now. I have two brothers that live there. My parents live there. Georgia, they brought Georgia. They turned it blue for Biden. Let's hope they can bring these two candidates through, and we can take over the Senate and actually get some stuff done.
Yes, I think that is such a very, very, very important point. In that it is one thing to win at the highest level, but it's a whole nother thing at the House and the Senate level in order to be able to not only enact legislation and enact legislation in a manner in which it is not a constant struggle. And that's kind of where my brain is. It's like, I believe in debate and negotiation and breaking things down. And yes, we all want to agree, compromise. We have to come to some compromise, or we have to unify on the things we can unify on. And then we have to break away from what we some things. But for everything to be disruptive, that is not healthy. And that's what we are right now. We ain't been healthy. Healthy
during the pandemic. During the pandemic.
Right. During the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic.
And so on the bottom here, you see scrolling. So if you are in the state of Georgia and you are watching, share this. You have until tomorrow, December 7th is the last day to register. So if you are even a 17-year-old who will be turning 18 by January 5th, you can register now. Go ahead and get your registration done so that you too can participate in this process. There is no need to wait until that 18th birthday whenever it occurs. Go ahead and get that pre-registration in now. That
is great information right there. Great information. Please continue telling them that.
Yeah, for sure. And then early voting starts on December 14th. And so if you are not in Georgia, so I'm not in Georgia, but Georgia is the neighboring state, call, text your friends and family and make sure that they get out there and vote. And sister, I know you have a lot of friends in Georgia.
I do. And I would say not only to make sure you're registered, not only make sure you're early voting, but make sure that your status hasn't changed. Because I read just this morning that a young lady said she has been at the same address for 5 years. She just voted in the presidential election. She previously voted in the primaries, but got some sort of notification saying that she's not registered for the runoff that's coming up. So just make sure all your documents are in order.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but what we know for sure from what we saw with Stacey Abrams when she ran for governor, the work that she's done on the ground, what she was able to deliver for Joe Biden.
She's the real MVP.
She's the real MVP, but they have taken notice of that. And because they are taking notice of that, the shenanigans are not going to stop. Right. So make sure you have all your stuff in order.
Exactly.
Get your stuff in order, people, and do not but do you understand? And I understand, right, that David Perdue is already in the lead according to the polls and everything. But do you understand the amount of arrogance and hubris? Right. Because this is not the first debate he didn't show up for. This is the second one.
Second one. And he's actually in the lead, but it's not by much. It's like by 48. He has 48.5%, and his opponent has 48.2%. But me and I'm pretty all of us can agree that I'm not too trusting of polls these years.
Yes.
This year. After what happened, and I November 7th, I thought Joe Biden was going to run away with a runaway. You know, it didn't happen. You still have to remember that Donald Trump got 76 million people to vote for him.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, you had Mitch McConnell return to the Senate. You had Lindsey Graham return to the Senate. So and I know that Jamie Harrison was supposedly much closer than that in the poll. So definitely don't believe those. I also wanted to just say, you sister, you mentioned the hubris of not showing up, but I would add just the hubris of not showing up when you have a group of people right now, which I actually hope they go through with what they're saying, who say that they are going to boycott to show the Republicans in Georgia that they are not being taken seriously about this run about recounting the votes and about Trump being the actual true winner. So, I mean, while I would really like for them to
sit at home.
Sit at home. Please don't let those be idle threats. I would absolutely love that. It shows a lot of hubris if you just I don't need to show up for this debate, knowing that there are folks out there saying we need to boycott to show them that we're serious.
He showed a lot of gumption, or just not, showing up. To me, that's like, if you back in the day when I was growing up, you say you would go fight somebody and you meet me on the corner and I meet at a certain time and you don't show up. That's like, what's going on? So, I mean, you are a sitting senator. You're a sitting senator. This is not your first time. So you know how important it is to debate. But then again, I just hope that his constituency, the people that have voted for him, don't think that that's okay for him to do. Hopefully somebody will say that's not right. At least go face to face with this man who's running up against you. And that's a sign of a coward. That's a definition of a coward to me. And hopefully, it'll backfire on him, because like you say, he's not done it once. He showed up twice. Name me 2 times, anytime when any black politician would not show up for a debate, not one time, but 2 times. Come on now.
That's right. Well, we got one comment said polls mean nothing here.
Yep, that's my aunt right there. She's in Austin, Texas, right there.
All right.
She know about polls and how they go. Yep.
All right. We got another comment. Please boycott Republicans. Everybody else, get your ballot in. Right. If that's what y'all want to do. But like we said, the dates are rolling here on the screen. So you have until tomorrow to register. Like I said, if you're a parent of a teen and you want your teen to be active and engaged, they're 17 years old and their birthday is between now and January 5th. Go ahead and get them registered so they can participate in that election. And then also early voting begins on December 14th. And those of you who showed up and showed out early voting, y'all show up and show out in early voting once again. It is
please don't stop.
I had
it's so important.
What's a little interesting about this time in Georgia is that a lot of the students that were in school are now at home. I had a niece and a nephew who went to Savannah State. My brother went and personally picked them up to bring them back to vote. This time they're at home now. So you had to realize that Biden won the county that Savannah State is in, a black school, HBCU. He won in some county like a Rockdale County in Georgia where my parents live that had never voted. You drive down in their neighborhood now, you still see Trump signs everywhere. But that they turned that county. So it's important that these students that are home for the Christmas break, like you say, you got early voting or you got voting up to January 5th, they're still gonna be at home. It's gonna be imperative to get them out to vote too, the young folks.
Absolutely. That is, what? I hadn't even thought about that, sister, because, we know that we saw it, students, we saw colleges, they were walking to the polls. They did their own version of stroll to the polls and they were getting it done. And so, they are home after Thanksgiving break. They're not returning to campuses until January. And so what does that mean for them? That means you need to request your early voting ballot, or you need to drive back on to school and do what you do and then go on back home. Got to handle business.
Or hopefully you register at home and you don't have to go too far. You can go to the polls with your parents.
Yeah.
But early voting is the key. The earlier you vote, you can get that out of the way. And you know what you've done, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on, because Republicans by the numbers actually they would like to vote in person. They do. Democrats by numbers. We like to mail ours in or early vote. So I mean, like you say, just get your voting out the way, because Georgia is a very important race, and it's very, very rare that you have 2 Senate seats up at the same time in any state. So this is not. It's something. It's a reason why this is happening, and let's just hope we continue that momentum.
Yes, it is so very important, because this is where we talk about all the time about not just the presidential election is important, but a president can't do anything if he constantly has someone in the Senate blocking him.
Right.
So it is so very important. So
it is crucial.
Please, folks.
Crucial.
All right. Well, then let's talk about some of the foolishness and shenanigans that are going on. We'll get into a little bit more serious topic, but one of the most foolish, most shenaniganery. I don't know if shenaniganery is a word.
I don't think it
is.
is
Today. It is today. It is
today. Did y'all see Melissa, the star witness in Michigan?
I looked at it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I try not to give that stuff too much credence, but I did see. Anytime you make TMZ as a headline, then it's got to be something going on. Now, I hear she's not wrapped too tight.
Yeah, I would say the same. I saw Melissa because her shenanigans were at such a high level of caucasity and shenaniganery, and obviously she was acting like such a fool that people were like, has she been drinking? Right. And it really seemed like she had been. And then, of course, once you go out, and I mean, this is the thing about the world we live in. People can find out anything
about you. Yeah.
So today the headlines are that she apparently had been she avoided, I guess, jail time, but she had been apparently she had sent some sex tapes or videos to her her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, because she wanted to take her over the top. So she ultimately, I think, only got what did I say earlier, sister? I can't.
She got like a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she got a misdemeanor charge, but it's the idea that so, and this was, and apparently whenever this charge, whatever her sentence was, she had just really completed her sentence right before she got this job with Dominion Voting Systems. So yeah, that feels, I guess in the world of
I see already like Saturday Night Live has already done a parody of it, so she's famous already. She did what she wanted to do. It looks like it, and that hairdo and that hearing tells me that she wasn't wrapped too tight. Then come on now, come on, then, and so it's not, and not to really be funny, but Rudy Giuliani, as you all heard today, he has COVID now. I don't know if you heard the breaking news.
Yes.
But Rudy Giuliani, he's come down with COVID, and now he was just in Michigan next to her a couple of days ago, and then he just left Atlanta where he was around. So now that's the news right now.
And apparently he also had flatulence at said hearing, because they have now stated that he was passing gas in the hearing. And
oh my goodness gracious.
Where it was audible.
It was audible,
and
right?
You could hear it. Okay.
Oh, Rudy. Oh,
you can't make this stuff up.
That is the thing. You can't the level of foolery and F&F, as my sister calls it, is the level you can't make it up, because it's like, who does this?
Too good to be true. If someone was take a year ago from today and told all three of us what was going to happen, we would have sat here and said, no, none of this is going to happen. You can't be saying a pandemic is going to come through and Donald Trump might almost win. You couldn't tell me this. And here we are.
And here we are. We got a comment here saying, although she is being looked at as a caricature, she is a true reflection of the idiocracy of diehard Trump supporters.
She's a poster child. Yeah.
And that's the thing, what is getting me. And so that's going to lead us into our next hot topic is the money grab. Post-election, Trump lost.
Gone.
Facts.
Right.
He lost.
Put it,
Right?
etched in stone.
Don't.
Etched in stone. Out of here.
80 million is still more than 76 million.
Whew, but yeah.
Please. I mean, it's still more.
Numbers don't lie though.
Numbers don't lie. Like Lil Wayne, the prophet said.
We're not calling Lil Wayne the prophet.
Women lie. Numbers don't lie. And that's what he said. I don't know if it was from him or somebody. One of them rappers
supposedly he said it, but we're not giving him credit.
But look at that number at the bottom of your screen.
That's the number.
That's like a lottery number. Like, okay, lotto this week is $207 million. But no, that's the money that Donald Trump has received since November 4th. No, November 8th. I'm sorry. No, November 4th. November 4th. $207 million. And you know what he can do with that money?
Whatever he wants to.
Whatever he wants to do.
Well, he has already begun doing it. It's called he's been paying off his debts. And so of that 207 million, there's only been approximately 8 million that has gone towards this fictitious, well, not fictitious. The fund is actually real. They've spent approximately 8 million with these recounts in the various states. So he's got 199 million to play with. And I feel like that's kind of the whole point of why we're still talking about it when we all know mathematically it's not going to change. And this is the thing that gets me deeply. If you're a Trump supporter and you believe that there was widespread fraud in this election, then you must also believe that there was widespread fraud in the last election.
How about that?
But because it wouldn't have just happened.
All of a sudden happened to yours, yeah.
Right. And if you then believe that it happened before, why were you silent? Why were you so silent when? Because if it's really about the will of the American people and democracy and all of those buzzwords that you like to use, then you should have been outraged before. You should have been outraged when it happened to Stacey Abrams.
Exactly, you're exactly right. But before, when it happened the first time, it benefited them. That's right. Why. It benefited them the first time.
But see, that's why I want them to stop talking like this is about patriotism.
Oh, well, yeah,
stop talking like this is about the right thing, doing the right thing. This is not. You keep counting. You've counted 3 times in Georgia. The results are you counted
and
over
one time by hand, and one time by hand.
Right, you counted over in Wisconsin, and Joe Biden got more votes.
Right. Well, someone brought this up like last week, and I think we're old enough to remember this. It's so they call it the Jim Jones syndrome. That they're drinking they're drinking this man's Kool-Aid. They're doing whatever Donald Trump wants them to do. And I guarantee you, if Donald Trump wanted to say, I'm about to leave and everybody wants to follow me to this little island or this place, he gonna get enough people that's gonna want to come with him. He is. And that's a scary fact that you got people out there that are drinking the Kool-Aid like that. That's believing everything that's coming out of this man's mouth. I sat here last night and watched his rally in Valdosta, Georgia, that he did, and listened to him talk to them people for an hour and a half about himself and how he lost his election. And you're going to come into the state, you call the governor a couple hours before, and then you talk about him like that. If I was that governor, I would have not let him come into my state. You, sir, cannot come up into these places right now.
He called him hapless on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, you're not gonna call. Come on now, I'd have cut the electricity in Valdosta that night. I would have. They would have got them sweet. They would have ate them sweet onions the best way they would have, but not tonight. Not tonight. You're not gonna come here. You just don't. And this man. But then again, like I tell everyone, you have to realize that as long as this man is president, this man has access to everybody's FBI files. Everybody. He can call your name and say, give me your file. He has something on everybody that's how this is all he's doing is pressuring people. But
the crazy part, Mike, is he has something on everybody, but like we all know his shit. Like everybody has something on him.
And he's gonna pardon himself. pardon his family. That's definitely coming down the pipe. He, so he is the perfect storm for him. He didn't win an election. He's got $207 million, and he can pardon himself and his family in 45 days, in 40 some odd days.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we got some comments here, and we're going to get into another money grab situation too. It says, no, he don't. This is to get him out of the spotlight, plus get his pardon. Foolery. Yes, it's all about this money.
Right, Auntie.
Trump with a bad unit.
Well, he got enough money to get him a new one.
No, well, she's talking about Melissa. Trump with a bad unit. Melissa with this.
Yes. Well, but Melissa can't get her another one. I'm just saying. Trump has made enough money off the likes of Melissa that he could get him a new unit.
45 now. He is going to run the grifter Trump rallies. Absolutely. He lost 2 or 3 times in the same election. Exactly.
Right. I'm like, how many times do you want to be?
Let me count the ways. I'm the loser. Let me count the ways. $207 million for a lost election in the middle of a pandemic where a number of Republicans actually won.
Yeah. Nah, well, that's another way. You can't believe those polls, though. Like I said, the Republicans picked up seats in the House. They picked up seats in the House.
Yeah.
So, and we were supposed to pick up seats in the Senate, and we lost those seats. We were supposed to win North Carolina. We were supposed to. Old girl up in Maine was supposed to lose. Oh my gosh, it was just
Susan
like
Collins,
you said, Jamie, Susan, yeah. So
concerts have been replaced with Trump rally. You paid to his tune of lies. Very good. Well, there's another money grab coming out of it, and as we're getting ready to come on, there's this whole movement called Stop the Steal, and they have started websites. Where they are propagating disinformation or basically, continue to perpetuate lies about this election, but they're selling merchandise.
Oh, yeah.
They are selling merchandise. They are making millions of dollars. And I was like, well, sister, you know what? Maybe we should have started a Stop the Steal website and let's put a Stop the Steal on a t-shirt real fast and let's see how much money we can make.
Yeah, that's all you had to do, throw it on a t-shirt. Now, I don't know if I would send you all out there to a Trump rally to sell them.
No. We don't have to. We could do it all online. We could put an avatar up.
I got you.
We just put a fake image. It don't have
because whoever is behind it probably lives in Russia or Ukraine or some other place.
Alex Jones is behind one of them.
Y'all should have did that like 2 weeks ago, though.
But see, we not in the cult, so we didn't even know that was a movement that was started. But I look, if we can make a quick 100,000, let's just make a quick 100,000.
All you gotta do is find out the next time Trump, if he do one rally, you just go up there and set you up a table to say Trump 2020 or whatever. It's gonna sell out. But you all don't need, we need get some people that don't look like us to sell it.
That's what I'm saying. I ain't gonna go to we just need to set up a website and let's do it. Donald said he got 5 on it. Let's do it.
That's a start.
I'm not going to the rally because we're gonna be the ones to get the Rona messing with them.
Exactly. If they're not gonna really buy it from us anyway, they ain't gonna buy it from us.
But if it's a website, they don't see our faces. We put the right images on the website. I think we might be able to make that.
I got 10 on it.
You got 10 on it?
Yeah, let's go. But we need to do it. Need to be done by the end of the show, though. It need to be done by the end of the show because other people listening to us now. I'm sure they're doing it right now too.
Yeah, hey, I ain't mad at it. If y'all take it, just look. Let me just put some change on it.
Send our cut.
Just send me my shirt. Just send me a shirt, complimentary shirt, please. Just send me
my cut. Look, we got a comment here. It says, "I'm so disappointed in a good portion of our population. Where has civility gone?"
Yeah, 76
Where
million.
has it gone? I mean, this country was founded on a lack of civility. It went the same way of their ancestors.
Wow. Well, I mean, there was a time where at least we attempted. But I think it started, like you said, 20 plus years ago, where people started with the whole not being politically correct, right?
Right.
And people forgot that, having decency, being respectful, and having a different point of view didn't necessarily mean you were being politically correct or incorrect by, being polite.
Exactly.
You know, by not calling people out their name. You know, as we were talking, as we are getting ready to come on, come on the show, and you said it. So we've had Chris Krebs, the governor of Georgia, the lieutenant governor of Georgia, the secretary of state. So Chris Krebs was over the at Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, yeah.
You had
lost his job.
Lost his job because he said this was the securest election we've had.
Told the truth. Told the truth.
Told the truth. But these people have literally received death threats. Some of those death threats have been very public. So I don't even understand. You talking about the FBI. I don't even understand how the FBI hadn't even arrested some of these damn people.
Right. Well, you're going to say, I'm going to drag some, they should drag you out and shoot you.
Right. Drag you out, shoot you, and quarter you.
Yeah.
Excuse me? And that the person who said that, who is a person who holds a political office, has
used to be an assistant district attorney.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That person has not received, like, he hasn't been charged.
Nothing.
Like immediate charges should have been brought against that person. Exactly. And so, I agree with your sister, the civility, and I think Randall even agrees. He says facts, right? So it's gone away, but that was a time that in the public sphere, there was at least an inkling of fear of consequences for going too far. But then there's his whole thing that we were talking about. So I can't remember. He is one of the election officials. I think he's in Gwinnett County, but the one who came on was very impassioned about this has got to stop.
It was Gabriel Sterling, actually. And I don't know exactly. Let's see what his continue talking. I'm gonna find.
But anyway, he just went on to say enough is enough, and so I just want to know. And for my men out here watching, because that's a conversation we'll have with Mike before we came on. So Donald and Randall and Jeff, for my men out here watching, how would you respond and react if you, your wife, and your children were receiving threats, and then these men have the nerve to say, but they still would vote for Trump again?
Right. Well, I want to be very clear. I was saying that specifically when I watched this morning on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, the lieutenant governor. No, the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, was on, and George was asking him about some of the threats that his family and his family have received. And he mentioned that he's received death threats, that his wife has received sexualized text messages threatening her, that, they've talked about needing security now and all of these things. And he kept saying, though, it's like he was making it a point to emphasize, listen, the election, there was no wrongdoing, there was no fraud. I wanted it to go to a different way too. I am a conservative Republican. I am a lifelong conservative Republican. I wanted it to go a different way as well. And as I was hearing all of that, I just was like, so at what point do you just kind of say, I can't mess with y'all no more? You have stepped across the line, because to Mr. Sterling's point, and again, I can't find his actual title, but he also is a GOP elected official in the state of Georgia. His thing was, it's got to stop when you're threatening 20-year-olds who are contracted out by a company. It's got to stop when you're making death threats to people, and all of these GOP leaders who are silent, they are complicit as well. But I just found that the Secretary of State, I just was outdone, because I just was like, you couldn't be out here talking about my mama, my daddy, threatening my spouse, doing all these other things, and I'm gonna just be like, yep, that's cool, but I really wanted this guy to win. For what? Why did you want him to win? Saying that one thing that I will respect about the Republicans in the state of Arizona, per what I've at least heard, is that most of them, and according to the numbers, most of them still voted down ballot for Republicans, except in two key areas: Donald Trump
in Senate.
Martha McSally. They did not vote for those two. But
Yeah.
everywhere else, they still maintained their allegiance to the GOP. So I'm just trying to figure out how can you not how at like what does it take for you to not have your allegiance to a specific man?
And but here's the other thing. What made you think? And I was about to cuss, so I pulled it back there. I pulled the cuss word right back on in my mouth there. Woo.
Pull it back. Pull it
But
back.
what make you think? I'm about to say, what make you think your ass so special? Because he has done it to everybody else.
That's
whenever you disagree, whenever you're not falling in line, whenever you have a contrary point of view, he will amplify the voices and messages of people who will threaten you and come after you, and he will demean you, will call you derogatory names. He will try to tear you down. What made you think, Governor Kemp, that your ass was so special that he wasn't gonna come for you when this election didn't turn out right? That should be all you needed to know about who he is as a human being.
And I think the governor has come around because he didn't show up to the rally yesterday. But you also got to realize that a lot of Republicans, especially these Georgia, these Southern Republicans, the only job that they have is politics. And this is all they have. And I couldn't tell you if the Secretary of State didn't have a job after he lost his job. I don't know. I don't think he would know what he would do. And same with the governor. The governor was Secretary of State. I think they only know politics. And this man can destroy you because regardless of how crazy he is, he has a lot of crazy followers that will vote you out of office.
True, but okay, so this
But
is
what good is it for a man to profit the world and to lose his whole soul? Because they claim to be Christians. I thought they was reading the Bible. What Bible they reading?
You got to ask them that question, and it would be interesting to see what they would say. Well, I'm sorry, but to see what they would say. But you have to ask them that because
they're gonna say what
I don't think
is that in 2 Corinthians?
I just don't think that. I mean, like I said, they're running scared right now, and I'm pretty sure they didn't think they were ever going to lose Georgia. I'm pretty sure they thought Georgia was in their hands because they stole an election before. They could steal it again. And when they found out this time that they couldn't do it, they had a loss for words, and they probably promised the president. I'm sure they probably promised him, "We got this for you. Don't worry, you got Georgia." And when he didn't get it, now he's all up in a fix. And he's calling them out, and now they're running scared because I'm pretty sure. Hopefully, if there is no correspondence of them talking before, but I bet you if you want to go and look in the logs and find out how many times that Secretary of State, how many times Governor Kemp have been in the White House, it's been a couple of times. I bet you they've been up there.
Well, what was interesting, and we're going to share some of the comments we have here because we got some good ones, was the New Mexico governor.
Oh yeah, Lujan.
With the he was bragging on how much he talks to the president and the vice president, that he actually changed the ringtone on his phone to "Hail to the Chief." So whenever they called, it would start playing. And on the day he was certifying the election, because it was being aired on the news, you could hear "Hail to the Chief" being played. And what he do, he take the phone and put it on, he shuts it off and puts the phone down.
Right. Actually, that was the state of Arizona, I think, not New Mexico.
Yeah, because New Mexico, I think, is a
Democratic government. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Arizona, the governor of Arizona.
Probably so. Doug Ducey, who you got?
That's who it was, Doug Ducey.
Yes, who been out here running behind Trump like a little puppet.
Right.
Like
Ducey. In 2022, you're gonna be Ducey.
I certainly hope so. But again,
Ducey. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh man. So we had some good comments here coming up. We talked about the someone said what's scary is that Fox News is going to become the conservative mainstream network. Stay tuned. I thought they were already.
Actually, no. They're mad at Fox News now.
Yeah, they have said
they've gone to OAN, and I forgot the other one.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
Yeah, OAN is awful. Oh my goodness gracious! It's just the worst rhetoric and tone that you get. Just if you want to watch, you thought Fox was comedy. This is not comedy. It's like a scary movie on what they allow people to say, how they. But it's a free country, and freedom of press. That's what they say. But it's getting out of control. Yeah.
Parlor, they go in there.
Newsmax is the other one. Yeah.
Fox, whatever.
Parler, I just learned about Parler. Parler is an app that you can go on where you can say anything you want. anything you want. I'm trying to see how long that's gonna stay around because that's scary in itself.
Absolutely.
Well, you have to provide so much identifying information, which to me, I think they actually have a new one that they're going to. I forgot the name of it, but with Parler, we talked about it on a previous show. It was something about you had to scan your license and put your ID information in, and it's like
they just wanted to make sure none of us was coming in there. That's all.
Some of y'all are
call
in
it like
there.
it is. Call it spade a
That's
spade.
all it
You're
is.
right. You're right.
Look, but this is if they would threaten me and my family, we might have to take this to the streets.
That's what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, that's exactly
we're gonna get our concealed carry licenses.
Yeah, and they got that in the state of Georgia. I don't understand. So you better watch out. So you're not saying, you got to watch who you're saying something about. But yeah, you can do it in Georgia. All my family's strapped. I know I told all their business. I told all their business. It'll be okay. Yeah, at least you know not to mess with the McQuerry. So
right. Yes. So I think is that Gabriel's title? He's a voting system implementation manager.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Auntie.
And he is on LinkedIn. I should try to become his friend on LinkedIn.
Yeah, let's all become Gabriel's friend on LinkedIn. You should not be loyal to a man. Absolutely. And if the vote was rigged, how did McConnell get back in, girl? We wondering that too.
Kentucky.
But if we were going to rig, we were going to throw all of them out.
If we was going to rig it, we definitely wouldn't have McConnell and Lindsey Graham. We would have definitely kicked both of them out.
McConnell had a weak opponent. It was a brother by the name of Charles Booker, who was also one of my frat brothers, who was running for that seat that almost upset the person that would have won. And Charles would have been like Jamie in a way that, they really wanted him. Kentucky was getting behind Charles Booker for the Senate, and that McConnell was running scared. He was really running scared in that race. But I mean, let's hope we couldn't get him out of office by way of voting him out of the Senate. So let's at least not make sure that he's not majority leader. Exactly. Call him minority leader sounds much better than him being majority leader.
Absolutely.
When he fall one more time, he gonna be in the leader of at the hospital.
Yeah, you saw, that one. They had a picture of like before the election. They showed him. He looked like he was in a fight with like Muhammad Ali or somebody. And Muhammad Ali ain't even alive. I was like, if anything, I don't want my senator looking like this. For
them to sit up here and talk about Joe Biden and being frail and all this other stuff, I'm like, did y'all see Mitch McConnell or did you miss him with the bruising?
I mean, he was bruised. Let's not even talk about that. All right, we got some more comments here. It says, logical thinking people don't understand the loyalty to Trump and his supporters are out of their minds. Yes, Republican evangelicals are Old Testament Bible thumpers. Christ's true message is not in their soul. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, wait. I got a quick question to that. Are they? Because if that's the case, then wouldn't they pretty much believe the same premise as Jewish people? And don't they have issues with Jewish people too? So
I mean, because the Old Testament is the Torah.
That's above my pay grade. That's above my pay grade.
The Old Testament, the Torah is the same thing, girl. They don't even be knowing. They don't even be knowing what they reading. Because that's the problem. They ain't reading.
No, they
got folks like Kenneth Copeland yelling to them. And what's her name?
And your girl down there, the white girl, Paula White.
Paula White talking about she calling the ancestors from Africa and the ancestors from Africa and South America. Show came through, didn't they? Won't he do it? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. When did our leaders become such cowards? Aren't they supposed to be public servants? I think that is a very good question. And I think
you were talking about, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you were talking about civility earlier. And when I came up to DC back in the 90s, mid 90s, let's say that, members of Congress, regardless of Democrat or Republican, used to go out together with, dinner and, get to know each other's families. Let me tell you, up here in DC now, it's so polarized that even with these new members coming in, it's just dividing lines. They don't even want to get along with each other. You have your AOC out of New York and the squad. And I think there's some very progressive sisters. I agree with everything they're kind of doing, but at the same time, they're making a lot of divisions within the Democratic Party, because if the Democrats and Republicans are already known that they don't get along, but the Democrats within the party need to get along together too. I mean, that's where it's kind of going to start. But at the same time, we all need to realize that, be you Democrat, Republican, you all wake up in the United States of America, one of the best country to live in, and we need to make it better for everybody, especially the people that we represent.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about that a little bit, because this whole conversation about a diverse cabinet, I put WTW, what the what? Because I'm about to roll up to New York and like, listen, sister AOC, I'm gonna need you to pull it together. I'm gonna need all of y'all to pull it together. And that's some, I mean, like they said, they've only appointed 8 of 23 cabinet positions today. Hispanic caucus and Black caucus, y'all all got something to say right now, but I'm gonna need y'all to focus all y'all energy on helping Georgia flip, and then we can come talk about something else.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Because isn't that the issue all the time? Like I said, before we even got to November 3rd, you know, when Kamala Harris and Mike Pence had their vice presidential debate, and the whole issue of fracking came up. And I remember AOC being on Twitter saying, but fracking is bad. Okay, fracking is bad, but can we win this situation first? Can we lock this down first? And then, like, let's have that laundry list, because you're there, you know, in Congress. You know, you have your constituents. We have a number of people who say they want to do all these plans for Black America. I'm sure there's some for Brown America, what have you, Indigenous America. But why are we not waiting until we have these things, the pieces of the puzzle in place, to sit down and say, okay, now what does this mean for this group of people, this group of people, this group of people? Like, how are we? And this is what I was going to get to in just a moment about branding. I feel like both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party have a branding issue, because the fact that there's so much division within the Democratic Party, the fact that the Republican Party has basically been taken over by the Tea Party that has upped its game and became the Trump the
QAnon conspiracy theory party.
Yes, the QAnon Trumper conspiracy theorists. It's like, what are you really about? Because people are running behind these different labels. And it's like, what's the plan? At AOC, you don't have to agree with everything. Bernie Sanders, you don't have to agree with everything. We have the right to have dissension, but we need to have intelligent conversations about where can we meet in the middle. And that's my problem with both parties.
Right. And so I don't know if you heard that he's appointed the Health and Human Services Secretary. It's going to be Xavier Becerra out of California, who's Hispanic, of course. And he used to be a member of Congress. And now he is actually the Attorney General of California. But what's interesting about that is that the governor has to appoint someone for Kamala Harris' seat. And it was Gavin Newsom is the governor, and the word is that he was going to elect a Hispanic, but we don't think that's going to happen now with Becerra leaving. So we might get another sister to replace Kamala Harris, either Karen Bass or Barbara Lee. But this diverse cabinet is going to be very, very interesting, because today I heard for Department of Defense, we might get Jay Johnson or a guy by the name of Lloyd Austin. So it's going to be interesting to have a brother possibly over defense, over the Pentagon. But I mean, it's going to be, I know Biden said he wants his cabinet to reflect America. It's going to be very, very interesting to see some of these other picks that come along.
Well, so for me, I'm like, he's already on that road. And so for people to be, there was a time, as they say, some conversations you have in the quiet, and some conversations you have in the dark, right? And I wish some of y'all would just shut your damn mouths and have these conversations in the quiet and in the dark. You can have these conversations, you can have this infighting, you can have this disagreement, get your point across. But all of this public stuff, y'all need to stop some of this, because all it does is undermine your credibility.
Yes.
And I love the squad. I'm all about the sisters, and I love you pushing progressive issues and whatever. But some of the conversations that y'all having don't need to be had on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
And just like we talked, they were talking about the girls Summer Walker and London on the Beat. How Instagram stories is not the place to play out your relationship.
Exactly.
Well, Instagram stories and Twitter is not the place. To have these negotiations about what the cabinet needs to look like and who you want to be. If you have the cachet that you think you have, then you should be able to pick up that phone and you can have that private conversation.
Exactly. I totally agree. Everything is not made to be said out in public per se.
I mean, so clearly they haven't been brought up in households where, granted, we know that secrets kill, but sometimes you got to be like, don't be airing out dirty laundry all about
right. Exactly.
Have a conversation.
Exactly.
Well, again, if you have the conversation with the person you need to have the conversation with, it ain't a secret. The problem is you want to have the damn conversation with the person who can't do nothing about it.
Right.
So why are you having a conversation with all these people in the public? Because they can't pick nobody.
Like talking to a wall.
You need to be having a conversation with these people up in here about what your needs are, what your demands are. You want to have a conversation with the wrong people. And hey, I'm down with it. I am down with you saying, hey, you want people to be more progressive and whatever. But the other point is the Senate is a very thin margin. And if Georgia don't flip, it ain't going to be. So you ain't going to get nothing done any damn way. Exactly. So you need to be doing another word, strategeries.
Yeah.
Thank you, George Bush, for the strategery word in the dictionary. You need to be doing some strategery instead of having all of these debates and everybody's upset. All that is got to stop.
Yes, ma'am, you're right.
So gots to stop. Let's see what else we got on here. There are about 5,000 other positions that will be filled in this administration. Personnel equals policy. And see, that's the piece that's so deep. It ain't even the people who at the top that really make things happen. They just a big head in the face. Everybody will always want to go for the king, but it ain't the king that's running nothing. It's everybody else.
And I feel a little bit more secure knowing that at least for 4 more years, if we need a Supreme Court justice, they might think a little bit more our way, because Biden's going to pick someone like him or that espouses his values. So, if Trump would have got him for 4 more years, he would have, ain't no telling that Supreme Court would have been out of control.
And they already out of control by letting and I'm sorry, letting the people, the religious folks in New York, you can gather. No, COVID is real and it's still out there. Y'all need to stick your ass to the house. The Lord know where you at. He know your heart.
And speaking of that, can I say something to your listeners, your followers real quick, about like the COVID relief package coming?
Yes,
please do.
Now, I work on Capitol Hill, and I sort of think the Democrats dropped the ball a little bit on this because we had the chance to get $1.8 trillion a couple of weeks ago, but Nancy Pelosi said no. What you're probably going to have is a $908 billion bill, but there will not be no stimulus checks in this one right here. And like I was telling some of my colleagues, people are expecting at least a check. We're going to bail out these restaurants. We're going to give them money. This time they're going to get grants. What is grants? Grants mean they're going to get the money that they're not even going to have to pay back. They're going to be fine. But people need to have some money in their pockets. These people need that. They need stimulus checks. So you probably will not see a stimulus check until after Biden gets elected and in the office. He has promised to do that down the road. But again, that's going to hinge on what happens in the Senate. It's going to be much easier if the Senate is Democrat as opposed to is Republican. Because right now they want to cut your unemployment from $600 to $300, and then people they can get kicked out of their homes at the day after Christmas. I can't believe this is happening. But let your people know that I want them to know that help is coming. It's just not coming next week, but it's coming down the road. But they're probably gonna pass this first package by Friday, because Friday is we could possibly have a government shutdown if your president decides not to sign this spending bill, which I'm telling you, we're dealing with Donald Trump. I can see him not signing any bill, and we've been in a government shutdown until January 20th when Biden gets sworn in. I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past. So people need to be prepared for that too. Imagine going through a pandemic. We got some vaccines that we're about to get out, but we're in a government shutdown. This man would do it.
So if you're in the government shutdown, then those vaccines can't get down to your state and local governments because they won't.
It's the government that's supposed to be getting them out.
Exactly.
And that'd be a travesty. But I can see someone like Donald Trump with his followers who don't believe that this pandemic is real, who some of them don't believe in vaccines, wouldn't care. They wouldn't care. But this is crucial. We got to think about the scenario that we might be in.
Yeah, they don't believe fat meat is greasy, but they walking around with diabetes, and they think that going to a parade like near our hometown, in Houma, Louisiana, they decided to continue to have their Christmas parade. They did disinfect the streets though, so of course that should help out. And
you mean for the airborne virus, they disinfected the streets?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how you do that. But the barricades were cleaned off, and they said they disinfected the street. I don't know what that even means.
I mean, because it's an airborne, it's from the droplets in the air that you breathe.
Right. And you're supposed to be, and you're supposed to wear your mask responsibly. Like, they're not making it mandatory, but all of the people on the floats were going to have their masks on, except they have elected officials who are on the floats without masks on. So again, it just goes to show that people don't believe that these things can happen to them until it happens to them. And then when it happens to them, then the world is supposed to stop and everybody is supposed to be, thoughtful. All of a sudden, the stimulus check really means something to them because it happened to them. But the hundreds of thousands of Americans that have been impacted, not just because they got this virus, but because they are considered essential workers. Mm-hmm. Because they're working in our hospitals and
right.
It's like, I just wish we were not just so selfish sometimes, but nonetheless.
No, I feel you. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And so, I mean, because it's just a week from today is going to be crucial for this country, because you're going to start seeing the effects of people that went home for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Where this virus is. You're going to have the vaccine supposedly starting to be rolled out. But at the same time, we might be in a government shutdown, we don't know where we're going to be at. I mean, it's so many things, and this is during the most important time for a lot of Americans, around Christmas, around a holiday. Some people didn't get to go home for Thanksgiving. It's a possibility that some people might not even get to go home for Christmas, because I don't think they're telling us how bad this really is. Mm-hmm. If you're telling people that don't go home for Thanksgiving, what do you mean you're going to try to tell us to go home for Christmas too, where everybody's going to go? And I think the government is a little bit scared to say that now, but at some point we're going to have to make a decision. Do people go home for Christmas too, or what?
Yeah, we got some good comments here. I'm going to put some of them up on. I won't be able to put them all up here, but there's some good ones. It says diversity in the cabinet is important, but I'd rather see reform in fair housing and lending, better access to capital, and police reform. Mm-hmm. Someone says, Patrice says, it better be a Black woman to replace Senator Harris. Governor Newsom has a long career ahead of him. He doesn't want that smoke for not appointing a Black woman. How about that?
Right there. She has a point right there.
How about that? Don't want none of that smoke. Let's see. AOC is doing performance art on IG, while someone like Representative Lauren Underwood is doing real work in Congress. All right, let's talk about it. I don't know. We got another comment. Why is the term BIPOC such a dividing factor? Oh, girl, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. We're going to have to bring an expert on to talk about, because all of these, I tell you, we can get into some terminology in the alphabet soup.
I actually like the BIPOC term better than... I feel like it's better because it's Black, Indigenous, people of color. And so...
Okay, thank you. I didn't know what it was. I'm about to go to my phone right now. Like, what is BIPOC? Okay.
Yeah.
Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And I like it better because when we say, in a lot of corporations, when we say people of color, that's an easy way to...
It's a lump.
Black people. Yeah, it's a way to, like, when we're saying, hey, we have issues, in the Black community, these things are impacting us, and they're like, okay, we're going to do this diversity initiative and we're going to hire more people of color. It's like, no, I need you to hire some more black people. How about that?
Okay.
Look, we got another comment here. It says, I don't think our nation today could have made it through World War II. I think that is, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And that's going to be the last thing I want to kind of talk about this evening before we wrap up, is that freedom ain't free. And so this is, I was supposed to write about it, but y'all know sometimes it's easier for me to just talk about it than to write about
it. Get it off your chest.
This is the thing, and sister, you said it, I think last week, people, this whole thing about freedom, some of y'all don't deserve freedom. Because the thing about freedom is that freedom also comes with a social contract and a certain level of responsibility and accountability. A certain level of responsibility and accountability, yes, for yourself, and yes, for the people in your immediate care, but also for humanity as a whole. Like, you don't just go around like, pedestrians running them down, mowing people down. Like, we just don't go about doing it. Freedom ain't free. It comes with a certain set of obligations and responsibilities and a social contract. And too many folks out here acting like people haven't fought, haven't died, haven't sacrificed their lives so that you can sit around and be on these interwebs and say some stupid ass stuff. For you to get on the interwebs and think you know more than a man and Dr. Fauci, who has spent his entire life studying infectious diseases, for you to think that you are on par with him in terms of your knowledge. Well, I'm sorry. Somebody gave up something for you to have that right. So I'm going to respect you having that right, but you need to understand that also that comes with that right, and with that freedom comes responsibility, and it's a social contract, and some of y'all are breaking it, and that's the problem. So that's what I wanted. That I had to get that off my chest because it's been bothering.
Well said. But you need to write that out too. Write that out.
Okay. I don't know. Sister, I mean, what you say on this?
Well, I wanted Auntie to tell me more about it. She was like, she ain't feeling the BIPOC. And like I said, I just wanted to be clear that when I'm talking about black people, I'm talking about black people. When I'm talking about people of color, there's times when all the lumping is appropriate, but there are times when it's like, no, you need to really look out for black people. The same thing with indigenous people. Indigenous people have had it rough in these lands.
We finally have I think 2 indigenous congresswomen coming in.
Well, and one's leaving to go to be Secretary of the Interior.
Yes.
Sharon, she's going to leave to be Secretary of Interior. But yeah, you have 2.
Yeah. So we indigenous, if anybody has a claim to be pissed off all the time,
they do.
It's the indigenous people.
Yeah, right. They do.
As we come off of this Thanksgiving holiday, we don't know what Thanksgiving was about.
Right.
Well, let's say we know what Thanksgiving is about. We don't have to buy into the myth that has been sold to us about we just got along, the pilgrims and the Indians.
I'm just here for the turkey and dressing. I'm just
here for the turkey and dressing. It gonna slip you a side of syphilis.
Right. I'm just here for the turkey and dressing. I like, thank you. At least we go. I know what I'm doing this day. Man, you right.
What I will say about the freedom ain't free part though is I think what really triggers me is when people talk about their rights, and basically what they're saying is my rights are somehow higher or more prioritized than your rights. So if it's a gay couple, for example, and they want to be married, and you think because of your quote unquote religious beliefs, and you have the right to believe what you believe in your religious beliefs, it says that 2 men shouldn't marry each other. So your religious beliefs are supposed to somehow take precedence over their religious beliefs, or your right to marry whoever you want, even if you get it wrong a few times, i.e. Donald Trump, is supposed to trump them being in relationships with each other for years. I mean, to see some of the, gay people that I know who have been married, but before they were able to get married, even talk about like one living with cancer and not being able to go to the hospital to see their loved one, or having to lie and say that they are a sibling. And, even a recent discussion I was reading about, funerals and things like that. So it really bothers me when people feel like it is my freedoms matter more than your freedoms. My rights matter more than your rights. And somehow I am supposed to, if I say I want it done this way, because these are my rights, then you're supposed to just say, oh, okay. And I'm like, how do you think that your rights trump my rights? I don't understand that. And that's where I have a real issue. So you're right, sister. Freedom isn't free. Many people have paid the sacrifices, the consequences, paid the price. And I can tell you, all of those people were not Republicans. All of those people did not have lily white skin. And, we've heard many times where people talk about patriotism in this country. And we as Black people, indigenous people, brown people in this country, we seemingly love this country even more than some of our white counterparts, because we were the ones who died, who fought for the right to vote, who fought for the right to vote, who were beaten, who went to all these wars on foreign lands and came back home and were treated like less than human. So we actually have even more love for this country than do many other people, because we haven't yet, it has yet to live up to its ideals for most of us. And we still here, and we still try to make it be that more perfect union that it was supposed to be. So
totally agree. Absolutely. And just to, if I can say something real quick about the freedom ain't free part. One thing that I learned when I got a passport and I started traveling the world, when you travel to other parts of the world, us being an American or from the United States is sometimes not a good thing. Be you white, black, green, or whatever, because you're in someone else's country. So I didn't appreciate America until I traveled the world and went outside of the country and noticed that in some places you don't get a phone call if you get arrested. Our rights, what we do over here, they don't do in other countries. And it took me to get out of the country to appreciate this place. But once you come back here, you kind of see that other people take it for granted. And it's usually sometimes people that have not traveled, have not been outside the United States, because you think that everything like this, what it is here, is like that everywhere. And it's not. That's definitely not the truth. Definitely not the truth.
And to that point, when my sister and I, my mother and a group of us, we went to Greece a number of years ago. And when we were in Greece at that time, I think unemployment here in the United States, I believe at its highest had reached about 9%. And, folks was acting up,
Right.
And we went over there, and keep me honest, sister, but I do believe they said it was at 25%.
Yep.
And we went to some restaurants where there was one person working, and well, there might have been one person cooking in the back, but one person, this lady was greeted us at the door. She became the waitress in the process, came back, bust the tables. And I'm like, and it made me wonder, to Miss Murray's point about World War II. I'm like, could we ever make it if unemployment in the United States actually reached 25%?
Right.
Could we, this society, this generation, could we do it? And I think we've gotten too comfortable with
our
even
freedom.
with that freedom.
I mean, you can say that, with our freedom too. And that's just a good way of putting too comfortable with our freedom, know, and we don't watch ourselves. We almost could have lost it with this last person that was in the White House. We could have, you had people that know China, Russia. It's no telling what they know about us. But I think we were vulnerable at some point. The country was.
Yeah. And I think the country is still vulnerable, as we said, as the more we move into these echo chambers, as more we stop reading, as the more we stop engaging, the more we keep going into these corners We are at risk, and we cannot allow ourselves to be at risk or be that vulnerable. So Georgia is on the scroll on the bottom of the screen. What y'all need to do? So come through,
Georgia.
Georgia. And we are facing some existential threats, and we need to do something about it. And we need to remember that we all have a social contract. There's a certain level of responsibilities, a certain level of accountability that comes along with that social contract. And if that means putting a mask on your face, that means wear the mask.
Because your right to not wear the mask shouldn't supersede my right to stay healthy.
Healthy. Yes, right. That's right. Absolutely. So
well said.
All right, then. Well, folks, that ends it for us tonight. We thank you for tuning into this episode of Hey Sister and being active, engaged in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you follow us on Instagram, we are doing this is our second annual A Cheerful Giver campaign, where we're featuring small Black women-owned businesses. We feature a different business during the weekdays, so not on the weekends. And we feature that business. You just have to follow our YouTube channel, tag 4 friends, and then follow that business as well. You do that. We are randomly selecting a winner each day, and you will receive a gift from that business. So
that's great.
Yeah. So please go to our Instagram and then let's do this, folks. So with that, we're signing off. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.